You're live. And are you right there? Yeah. Can you talk? Oh, we can see you. Okay.
Have you heard from Jania?
Huh?
Have you heard from Jania?
I don't have that.
Call a meeting to order, rise for pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll open the meeting with public comment on any item not on the agenda for today.
I do have a question.
Come to the podium, please, John.
There was an article in the Townsend Star here a couple of weeks ago about a rest area that's going to get moved into Broadwater County. Is that something that comes before the county commissioners to look at, or I went back and I looked through the agendas and I didn't see anything on it where it had approached the county commissioners on it. Is that something that you guys have any input on?
The Highway Commission came to us in February and invited us to, or we had a Zoom meeting here with them.
Okay.
But as far as location or anything like that, that was not our decision. They were told they were moving this rest stop in here. I was on a board for the review of proposals, and that was really the only input we had was the review of the proposals. It had nothing to do with it was coming into Broadwater County. Both proposals were in Broadwater County. The company that was selected for the contract has a clause in their proposal to handle all public relations, so I would assume they will be having a meeting
So
in the
there's
Three
still
Forks
public
area.
meetings on it then?
Yeah.
They haven't selected the site yet then? They've got two.
It's been decided.
Oh, the site's already
Yeah,
been selected.
The contract was awarded to the Rickett Group, I believe is who it was.
Okay. Good. All right, thanks.
Yep. Any other public comment? Okay, so I guess what we can do is 10 o'clock, decision naming the Opportunity Bank building.
Okay. Debbie, you kind of had a lot of that. You had the list, I think, kind of, right?
Yeah, we have quite a few submissions over the last few weeks. And can I go ahead and make them up?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I guess.
Mhm.
We got submissions for different names via the mail, email, and a couple of phone calls. But I would move to name this building the Flynn Building. The Flynn Building or
Flynn
Flynn Family Building?
I think just the Flynn
Flynn
building.
Building.
Flynn building.
I would make that motion.
Okay. I'll second that motion. And I guess along with that, I know that submission came from Rick Van Dyken. And the idea was to honor the Flynn family for their commitment to our community over the years. And so we'll have the opportunity to dedicate this building and maybe have a little ceremony honoring them and their family and their contribution to our community. So I think that's something we'll plan in the future. Along with that, I have a second that motion.
The motion's been made and seconded to name the Opportunity Bank building as the Flynn Family Building.
Flynn building.
Flynn Building.
Flynn building.
Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. So next on the agenda is Nicole Brown, Lindley Lot Aggregation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do each of you have your copy of the
Yes.
COS? Okay, perfect. So this is a request to aggregate lots in the, it doesn't say the name of the subdivision that I can see. Anyway, on Skyview Lane, Deep Creek subdivision. So Mr. Lindley purchased 2 lots adjacent to each other in the Deep Creek subdivision. He wants to build his home right in the center of the 2 lots, so he's simply looking to eliminate that center lot line and aggregate the 2 lots into one.
And is that the total then, 4.44 acres?
Correct.
Okay. I guess I really don't have any questions. That's pretty straightforward. So I would make the motion to grant the Lindley aggregate as proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Lindy lot aggregations. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Not so, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, next is Nicole Brown and the Gillespie family transfer.
So this one, I didn't make copies, so I hope you have your COS for this one as well. And the affidavit, the family transfer affidavit. So these properties are being transferred from Michelle Gillespie to her children, Tara Dana and Tori Gillespie. So tract A will be transferred to Tara, Michelle's daughter, and tract B will be transferred to Tori, Michelle's son. And the remaining lands will be held in ownership by Michelle. And if you can see on here, there's a parcel that says deed, kind of in the middle. I know it's small from this view, but that's actually where Michelle and her husband Rob are currently residing. That's their owned property. So since it's right in the middle of all of this, obviously it's going to be described, but it's not a part of this survey and no boundaries are changing on that parcel. Simply the adjacent lands.
So it looks like they're proposing they're going to put a home site on there, it looks like.
That's correct. Tract B has an existing home site that Tori and his family are residing in, but they will now have ownership of that.
I don't have any further questions.
I don't know either.
Does tract D include the other portion down here that's not? You got the deeded piece in tract B, and then you've got this other piece on. Is that part of tract D, or is that a different tract?
Are you talking about the southwest corner?
Yes.
That actually, if you look closely, tract B does not close. So there's actually, it's still part of the greater tract D.
I see that.
So
Probably
tract
have
B,
to-
you know, those circles, the
I'm guessing they did.
corner
that for-
markers that they're
for
using, but-
Access for
right.
easement or something like
Mhm.
that. Just
But it's
assume.
still part of Tract D. It's not actually separated.
Oh, okay, okay. Is there a motion to approve the Gillespie family land transfer?
I would move to accept the Gillespie family transfer.
I will second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the Gillespie family land. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We're a little bit ahead here. We will go ahead with mail. We got minutes from April 19th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve minutes?
April 19th?
Yes.
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 19th, 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to accept the minutes.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes from April 19th, 2021. I do have a point of discussion. The Galzagori legal payment, the motion was made,
Yep.
but it was not voted on. Do we need to note that, or?
Since it's not in there, it's obvious it was not, so,
It was not voted on?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I'll take the blame for that. I got caught up in the discussion and I forgot to do that, so
Okay. We'll
but
take
we'll take care of
that
that today.
later today. So, okay, so the motion's been made and seconded to approve the April 19th, 2021. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, for mail. Public notice from DEQ for Silver Bowl County for wastewater. Receipt from the state of Montana Taylor Grazing for $327.86 and $327.87. Receipt of payment from rent from Family Medical Clinic for $1,331. Claims in the total of $33,556.73.
556?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve claims in the amount of $33,556.73.
Is
I'll
there a
second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded to pay claims and set amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Payroll claims in the sum of $208,593.12.
would move to approve the payroll plans of $208,593.12.
I will second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay claims and set them out. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Montana Chronic Disease Prevention and Health Promotion Bureau, Public Health and Safety Division. Emergency medical services in Montana, crisis on the horizon. This magazine, or this pamphlet will be in the commissioner's office. Okay, 10:15, Nicole Brown, Community Development Planner, Antelope Run 1 minor preliminary plat approval.
Do each of you have your findings of fact and order report? So after much discussion and back and forth, we have our list of conditions based on previous commission meetings and input from the commission, as well as Deputy County Attorney Jania Hatfield, myself, public comment. So I will read just the conditions of, or the proposed conditions of preliminary plat approval, not the entire findings of fact and order document. Number 1, plans for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for review and approval. The certificate of approval shall be filed with the final plat. All specifications and approved plans shall be met. Number 2, prior to any development and/or soil disturbance, a weed management plan for the proposed development shall be submitted to the County Weed District for review and approval. All specifications and requirements of an approved plan shall be met. Number 3, the applicant will be required to submit the final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of application materials. Number 4, the applicant and the Fire Protection Authority having jurisdiction shall use their best efforts to draft a fire protection plan specifically for this subdivision in accordance with the Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The plan shall be equally acceptable to the FPAHJ, the applicant, and the county governing authority. The plan shall adequately address the fire risk analysis, all findings of fact, and appropriate mitigation measures. In the event the parties are unable to come to an agreement by the time of final plat submittal, the applicant shall become eligible to provide the per lot cash in lieu fee for water supply, as may be defined in the Broadwater County subdivision regulations in effect at the time of submittal. Number 5, the final plat shall be prepared in accordance with the applicable state survey requirements, Montana Subdivision and Platting Act survey requirements, and the county subdivision regulations. Number 6, a traffic impact study shall be performed by the developer to determine the level of improvements attributable to this development. Number 7, all internal subdivision roads must be designed in accordance with the Broadwater County road standards and stamped by a professional engineer. A letter from the PE shall be provided to the county stating that the roads and any improvements have been constructed in accordance with the approved plans and specifications, and that he or she has completed an inspection of the roads and any improvements. Number 8, the applicant shall contribute their proportionate share of the cost to upgrade KOA Road to at least Broadwater County subdivision road standards for a number 1 local road. This applies to the section of KOA Road that runs from the road the subdivision uses to access KOA Road to U.S. Highway 287. The amount of proportionate share shall be determined based on the traffic impact study and a current estimate for the work that needs to be done to bring KOA Road to at least a number 1 local road. The estimate for the work that needs to be done to bring KOA Road to at least a local number 1 road will be obtained by the developer and approved by the County Roads Department. Number 9, KOA Road must be designed and constructed in accordance with the Broadwater County road standards, stamped by a professional engineer, and submitted to the County Public Works Department for review and approval. A letter from the PE and county road supervisor shall be provided to the county stating that the road and any improvements have been constructed in accordance with the approved plans and specifications, and that he or she has completed an inspection of the road and any improvements. Number 10, the book and page reference to the restrictive covenant filed with the county clerk and recorder shall be indicated on the face of the final plat. In addition, restrictive covenants, revocable or alterable, only with the consent of the Board of County Commissioners, shall be placed upon the property and shall provide for the following. A, per the subdivision application, all lots shall be used for residential purposes only. B, notification of a potential health risk from radon concentrations, and that such risk can be evaluated through soil tests and mitigated through radon abatement techniques incorporated into strictures. C, a notification that all dwelling units within the subdivision should be constructed to specifications which meet or exceed equivalent provisions in the applicable state building code for this seismic zone, which is Zone 3. D, any additional replacement or relocated utility lines shall be installed underground in accordance with the county subdivision regulations unless otherwise determined by the utility provided. E, any exterior lighting shall be directed downward to minimize visibility beyond the property lines. F, a waiver of the right to protest to join a special district for the purpose of providing community water and or wastewater treatment system improvements and or maintenance. G, a restrictive covenant binding the landowner, any heirs, successors, and assigns, and all future owners of property within the subdivision, agreeing therein to hold Broadwater County harmless and indemnify Broadwater County from all claims, demands, obligations, suits, causes of action, damages, and liability, including the county's costs and attorney's fees, arising in any manner whatsoever out of or relating to the existence, use, operation, repair, and or maintenance of the following. Sub-item 1, earthquake fault zone and any seismic activity, and number 2, water availability. H, all cats and dogs must be restrained, penned, or otherwise under the control of their owner at all times. I, notification of the presence of agricultural operations in the vicinity. J, each lot shall be maintained in a clean, attractive, and weed-free manner. Noxious weeds must be pulled, sprayed, or cut prior to seed maturity. K, a waiver of right to protest joining a rural improvement or maintenance district for the purpose of road maintenance, mosquito control, or equitably funding parks and maintenance of parks. L, address numbers shall be clearly marked at the driveway entrance to each lot and be easily identified from the road. M, a notification that lots in this subdivision may be subject to impact fees if in place prior to lot sales. 11, prior to filing the final plat, the applicant shall, A, provide proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies. And B, provide documentation, an abstract of title or platting certificate, showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same, showing the names of lien holders or claimants of record, and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against the land. The applicant is financially responsible for actual outside engineering, consulting, professional and or contracted service fees, etc., at the sole discretion of the county for additional review and or final plat approval of the proposed subdivision. Preliminary plat approval of the Antelope Run 1 minor subdivision shall be enforced for 3 calendar years. At the end of this period, the governing body may, at the request of the subdivider, extend its approval for a mutually agreed upon period of time. Any mutually agreed upon extension must be in writing and dated and signed by the members of the governing body and the subdivider or subdivider's agent. The governing body may issue more than one extension. A party as defined by 763625 MCA who is aggrieved by a decision of the governing body may, within 30 days after this decision, appeal to the Broadwater County District Court.
So just for clarification, only number 8 and 9 were revised.
Number 8 was the, I'm sorry, Nicole, may I?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just flipping to the pages.
Number 8 was the main one that I revised. Number 9 was not revised. And I was just going to have a quick discussion with you about number 9, if I may. I'm sorry to interrupt. So, one of the questions at the meeting last week was whether or not we could require the subdivider to do the work on a county road. And I did look at that and do some legal research, and I don't find in the statutes where you can require a builder to upgrade an already existing county road. So my advice to you would be to eliminate number 9 altogether, because that's the one that would be requiring them to do it, and to use 6 and 8 to do the proportionate share.
So if we eliminate 9, then we no longer have a requirement for the road to be stamped by a professional engineer, right? Because that's not stated in number 8.
Is it not? You are correct. It's not stated in 8. What I'm essentially concerned with is that we just don't want to be requiring that they do the work, that the subdivider does the work. So if you would like to, I know there was confusion on 9 as to if that was requiring the subdivider to do the work. So I just wanted to make sure that that's not what 9 is doing.
So then it would be up to our Public Works Department to construct that road.
Yes.
So in that case, I mean, that's, like, I guess, what I see potentially happening there is, based on their workload, they may not get an opportunity to do this road for a while. So this is going to delay the development that much further, correct? Potentially.
I mean, it does have the potential to do that, yes. I just don't see that you have the ability to.
I guess I'm just making that statement so that everybody understands that's what could happen.
The county can use that money to contract with BSE or somebody to do the work. The concern is, it's kind of a nuanced issue, them paying the money to improve it versus them doing it themselves.
Sure.
But we've run into this in times in the past where someone's like, well, you guys aren't getting to the county road, I'm just gonna go out there and do it myself. And that's not permitted by law.
Sure.
Our concern is that if you start doing that now as a condition of subdivisions for an already existing county road, it's going to lead to many more problems of that type. There's a distinction between subdivision, they develop a road that didn't exist before, bring it up to county standards, and then it becomes either a public road or a county road, depending on the details of that subdivision. That's different than the developer has to go out and actually do their own work to improve an already existing road.
Yeah. So we would receive this proportionate share prior to doing this work?
So, or the county could take the money and, like I said, contract with another, if your department can.
Along with that, I mean, and that's true, I mean, it could be contracted, but it's still subject to the same thing. We know how busy things are getting nowadays. I mean, mean, I know my own personal experience trying to get a hold of Brandon, he's just doggone busy. And, but anyway, how about the situation where we did this, we developed the road, and then all of a sudden they decided not to follow through with the development? Taxpayers have put a whole bunch of money into a road that now is no longer used for its intended purpose. I guess that's just another possibility.
And Nicole, may I ask you a quick question on that? When would these requirements kick in? When would they need to pay their proportionate share? I guess would be the question.
Before they could receive final plat approval.
Okay. So do you think so with that, I guess thinking about that, then the road should be completed before final plat approval?
The road should be completed before final plat approval in the interest of public health and safety.
Yep.
Therefore, the road should be paid for before final plat approval.
Okay.
The proportionate share paid, I'm sorry.
And then whether it's the county or a contractor that's going to complete that work, that should probably be done, I mean, right before.
Final? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And that's, I understand what Jenny is saying with condition number 9, but that's the purpose of condition number 9. But condition number 9 could be read in such a way that we're requiring the developer to complete the road when really the developer cannot.
Yeah. I think I understand that for sure. Okay.
That was the purpose of condition number 9, was to ensure that the road was actually constructed
Mm-hmm.
before final plat. So can I ask you a question, Jania? Do you think it's necessary, I mean, based on this discussion, is it necessary to actually eliminate condition number 9 based on the discussion and now the known fact that the developer cannot complete the road on this county road easement? Or is there a way we should be amending condition number 9 to state that or to capture that?
Because what I'm hearing is it's important to have, we want everything in this preliminary plat that needs to be in there. So maybe the better way to do it would be to amend number 9 to make it clear that the county is the one doing the work, but also to make it clear what kind of needs to be done.
Sure.
That way we've got everything in our preliminary plat spelled out. And it could be as easy as saying KOA road must be designed and constructed by the county in accordance with Broadwater County road standards. I mean, I'm doing this really quickly up here. But it could be as simple as just specifying who's doing the work in number 9.
But the thing is that we can't specify that the county is going to do the work because, like I said, we're at the point right now where the county's so busy that they're not going to get to that project. So it should be the county or the county subcontractor
Yeah.
would do the work.
Yeah, that's, yes.
I agree with that.
So can I reread condition number 9 how I think you're
Please.
stating it here?
Please.
KOA road must be designed and constructed by Broadwater County or a contractor selected by Broadwater County. Does that sound right? Or a contractor appointed by. It's probably better than selected by.
You can just say Broadwater County or its agent.
Okay, there you go. Okay. KOA Road must be designed and constructed by Broadwater County or its agent in accordance with the Broadwater County Road Standards stamped by a professional engineer and submitted to the County Public Works Department for review and approval. A letter from the PE and the county road supervisor shall be provided to the county stating that the road and any improvements have been constructed in accordance with the approved plans and specifications and that he or she has completed an inspection of the road and any improvements.
Okay, I think that captures what we want to do.
Yep.
You want a motion on that? That amendment for number 9?
That would be wise.
I'll make that motion to amend condition number 9 as Nicole read it, that be constructed by Broadwater County, where it's in accordance with Broadwater County road standards, and then nothing else has changed after that, right?
Is there a second on the motion?
I would second the motion.
Motion been made and second to amend condition number 9 to include by Broadwater County or its agent in accordance with Broadwater County road standards. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? Take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Approved. Most opposed, same. Motion carries. So, Nicole, then who is the developer still required to have the engineering done then?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
And the county has agreed to do a right-of-way survey?
That is correct. I know our Public Works Director, Josh Obert, had reached out to Great West Engineering to have that survey commissioned. Bless you.
Any other discussion or questions, comments?
No. I guess my only comment is this has opened the door to future developments on unimproved roads. The county is now going to have a liability for. And I guess I just want to go on record as stating that I'm concerned about that.
Do future lots, if we get a bill on this, are future lots required to pay a proportional share into that improvement of that road, other than these lots?
Future lots, yes.
Okay.
Existing home sites or existing lots, no.
So is the developer basically on the hook for all improvements on that road through anything he does in future subdivision, or is it
I guess it would depend on the development, really, or depend on any future landowners that decide to come forward. I don't think I'm understanding your question clearly.
Well, what I'm saying is if this, if development continues back here, is 100% of that bill for the improvements of that road going to be eventually paid by whoever the developer is? Are all other lots in there obligated to pay their proportional share to the road, to that portion that we improved?
So any future lots along this road or any other road, I would suggest that, I mean, it would depend on the conditions of approval, but for that development, any future development, I would suggest that you require a traffic impact study again, and then have them pay the proportionate share based on the traffic impact study.
Okay.
Similarly to this one.
I think as we look at the maps, there is potential for other developments other than just Antelope Run. And I don't know what Mr. Griffith's plans are in the future. He may decide to do more, but other developers or other landowners back there could develop that property.
Sure.
And I guess, in my mind, I understand what you're saying. They would be required to pay their proportional share towards that road. Is that correct?
Can I just, one point of clarification on that? It'd be a proportionate share of any improvements that need to be made. So you can't look back
Yep.
and say, okay, we had to spend a bunch on the road in the past. It's,
Right.
okay, now new houses are going in, we're gonna need to improve as a result of those new houses, so it's a proportionate cost of improvements.
Correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure.
That makes
was
sense.
clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I add one more comment?
Yes.
Bernadette Swenson from Schauber Surveying. I know Mr. Griffin had a statement prepared on having to build the road, so I'm relieved to see that that is being relieved off of him directly. The only, just for the record, my concern is putting in a condition of approval to a developer that is beyond his control. Because if the county, and not that I would see the county do that, but if he gets to the point he's ready, and then the county says, well, yeah, we have planned to do it in 5 to 10 years, or, that's just a concern I'm voicing, that could hold him hostage because it's completely out of his jurisdiction, or his responsibility, but it is a condition of approval for him. But he has no say over it.
I guess I would have, I agree with that to a point, but the thing is that all the money that you're spending on this portion of road is to, essentially serves one landowner and one landowner only. So as far as budget constraints go, I agree he probably needs that road, but the thing is, he's the one that's putting the impact on the road. It's not all the other. It's not like a road that every resident of the county is going to go drive that road. It runs into his property and his property only. So why should the rest of the taxpayers sacrifice their portion of the road budget to have a road that serves one person?
Well, I think when the traffic study is done, his proportionate share is gonna be almost the complete amount. Because there's only 2 other houses back there. So that's what a traffic study does, is finds out your proportionate share. So, you know, just roughly, if there's 2 homes and he had 7, you know, that would be 7 nights. I mean, besides not doing all the other counting, but, so, you know, probably, I don't know the exact percentage, but he's gonna be responsible for almost the complete amount.
Okay.
That's what the traffic study does. And one other comment that Jim said that, you know, he just go.
Yeah, we need to come
Yeah,
up
I'm
here.
sorry.
I listen to these when I go home and.
I know, and they're mumbling with the masks.
You can't hear anybody and
Yeah.
so we need to do it.
Just one other thing, and that he had just made a comment that, you know, it's frustrating, this ongoing. So like he said, you know, whatever you guys come up with today, he would just appreciate a vote to move forward. And then he can look at it at that point in time. But, you know, kicking it down each week with different changes and all, I mean, he just basically wants to know, what are you guys going to require? So then he can make a decision from there.
And I appreciate that, but Mr. Griffiths needs to understand that our job is to look out for the best interests of Broadwater.
Oh,
County.
exactly. He understands that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything else. So someone likes to make a motion.
I would move to approve the preliminary plat for Antelope Run 1 minor subdivision.
Is there a second?
I guess I would like to be more clear on
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
As amended,
as amended
sorry,
and discussed today.
as it was amended and discussed and approved.
Okay, I'll second that.
The motion has been made and second to approve the preliminary plat application for Antelope Run 1 with the conditions as amended and discussed today. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
They're having trouble hearing.
Pardon me?
They're having trouble hearing you.
I wonder if mine is turned.
It's great.
Okay.
Okay, next, Nicole Brown, planner, planning board bylaws and board appointments.
So this is based on a discussion that we had 2 weeks ago on board appointments. I have 3 applicants for the planning board. I looked through our bylaws, and our planning board bylaws. I'm sorry, I say our, but I'm not a board member. The planning board bylaws do not state an explicit number of members. However, it does call out that 3 equals a quorum, which would imply that the number of members is 5. Because if a quorum were to be a different number, obviously, 4, that would be 7 members. So even though our bylaws do not explicitly state the number of members, I'm going to make the assumption that it's 5. And also take those bylaws to the planning board for amendment so we can put an exact number in there. So with that being said, I have 3 letters of interest for 1 vacancy on the board. My current board members in good standing: Jenny Schaber, Herb Argebright, Mary Heineman, Trinity Vandenanker. Dennis Miller was a board member whose term expired on December 31st of 2020. I do have a letter from Dennis Miller that he's interested in staying on the planning board. I have a letter from citizen Richard Tramp that he would like to fill that vacancy. And I also have a letter, or an email rather, from citizen Bill Petrovich that he would like to fill that vacancy. Based on planning board discussions in the past, they were hoping to have a 7-member board and appoint each of these 3 gentlemen to the board. So they did not have a preference for one to fill this seemingly one vacancy.
Could we do this? Until they've determined that they're a 5 or 7-member board, can we just appoint them as non-voting? Yeah, a member, could we do something like that? I know we've done that in the past.
We've done that in the past. The Parks and Rec Board has had non-voting members. I do know that for a fact.
Mhm.
So you could appoint one member, or one individual, I'm sorry, to be a voting member. And then at the next planning board meeting, I can bring up the bylaw amendment and then bring that back to this commission table for a vote, if that's the direction the planning board still wants to go.
So is there 1 or is there 2 vacancies? Because Dennis, his?
One vacancy.
Okay,
And Dennis's position is the vacancy because his term expired.
okay, I got you. So, I guess you're gonna have to read the names who we currently have. I have Jenny, Herb, Danny. Is that right, Danny?
Nope.
No?
Mary
Mary Heineman.
Heineman,
And Trinity Vandenberg.
and Trinity Vandenacre.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
If we appointed one today and appointed the other 2 as non-voting, we would still have to come back and, if the planning board changes their bylaws, and appoint the 2 non-voting to be voting. They wouldn't automatically.
They would not
Is that
know.
correct?
That is correct, yeah. That would still have to be part of the process.
Okay. Yeah. It might be easier to avoid confusion, just maybe to appoint one today, and if the bylaws change, then we'll still have those other persons interested,
Mhm.
right? Okay. All right, that's there you go. Has Dennis been attending the meetings lately?
Lately, yes. Yeah. I know he was, had some reasons that he couldn't attend previously, but yeah, he's been consistent.
Okay. I guess that I would move to appoint Dennis Miller to the planning board.
Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Dennis Miller to the term on the planning board that is now open. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
All right.
And for the record, this is a 3-year term.
2-year?
3-year.
3-year.
So it will expire 12/31/2023.
Do you think, Nicole, it'd be possible for the planning board to vote on the number of members at their next meeting?
Yes. Yep. And then, of course, I'll have to bring those bylaws to the commission for approval, but we could do that on the same agenda item.
Okay. So if they do decide to go to a 7-board member, and I guess we have to approve that first, but that means they would have to have at least 4 for a quorum, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm just going to ask your opinion. In your opinion, do you attend these planning board meetings? Would 7 people be a benefit?
Yes, absolutely. I think, there's that fine line in there between having too many members and not having enough. I think, especially when we're looking at these subdivision plans, the more folks that we can get involved in part of the discussion early on, the less work you as commissioners have to do in weeding out those details. Not that I don't appreciate your perspective, but that's the purpose of the planning board, is to have a very well thought out plan by the time it comes to you. And sometimes those change, of course, and new discovery is made. But long answer, but short answer, yes, I think it would definitely be beneficial.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Peaceful Hilltop request for final plat approval, Nicole Brown.
One moment, I'm sorry. And I'm going to stay seated here if I can, so I can pass around the documents. I know we did this last time, but just to be following the proper order. And if I may, the reason why this was postponed or tabled from last Monday was there was a question on the weed plan. The weed management plan is not signed by the county weed coordinator. I did have a discussion and a meeting with Jessica Bushnell, the Broadwater County weed coordinator, that the approval is actually given by the weed board. So as long as the weed board will sign the weed plan, that's giving it approval. Jessica's signature is making sure that they are in compliance, they as in the developer. So the fact that her signature is missing does not render the plan incomplete. It is approved because the weed board has signed it.
Did you discuss in the future how we can do that?
Yes, the new weed plan is the newly adopted, I should say. Weed plan is more clearly defined. We'll just see a couple of these coming forward using the older plan.
Okay.
So hopefully we won't have that concern. It'll be clarified in the future. So number 1, plans for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Broadwater County Environmental Health Department for review and approval. The letter of approval shall be filed with the final plat. So the letter of approval from our County Environmental Health Office because these parcels are greater than 20 acres. Number 2, prior to any development and/or soil disturbance, a weed management plan for the proposed development shall be submitted to the County Weed District for review and approval. All specifications and requirements of an approved plan shall be met. Number 3, the applicant will be required to submit the final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of application materials. Number 4, the applicant and the Fire Protection Authority having jurisdiction shall use their best efforts to draft a fire protection plan specifically for this subdivision in accordance with the Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The plan should be equally acceptable to the FPHJ, the applicant, and the county governing authority. The plan shall adequately address the fire risk analysis, all findings of fact, and appropriate mitigation measures. In the event the parties are unable to come to an agreement by the time of final plat submittal, the applicant shall become eligible to provide the per lot cash in lieu fee for water supply as may be defined in the Broadwater County subdivision regulations in effect at the time of submittal. And the fire plan is signed and approved by the Three Forks Fire District Chief.
I think this is the one that they already had some fire suppression, that says within 1 mile, so.
That's correct, and I believe it's the last item on that list there states that the part of the homeowners association dues collection goes towards fire mitigation. Number 5, the applicant shall contribute 2/50ths of the cost to upgrade the existing road, Prospect Hill Road, to Broadwater County subdivision road standards for a number 1 local road. It shall be required that they obtain a current estimate. And also part of that, before I pass it around, is item number 6. The applicant shall contribute 2/50ths of the cost to upgrade the existing road, Vista Drive, to Broadwater County subdivision road standards for a number 1 local road. It shall be required that they obtain a current estimate. So what you have here coming around is an estimate for the upgrading of both of those roads, along with their proportionate share of improvements. The total amount, it's included in this check, which also includes the final fees. So, and I just realized I left the plat in my office, so I'll put it on your table for signatures, depending your vote today. The final plat shall be prepared in accordance with the applicable state survey requirements, Montana Subdivision and Platting Act survey requirements, and the county subdivision regulations. And it's been signed and approved by our examining land surveyor, signed by the surveyor of this project. So, number 8 are the covenants. Book and page reference to the restrictive covenant filed with the county clerk and recorder shall be indicated on the face of the final plat. In addition, restrictive covenants revocable or alterable only with the consent of the Board of County Commissioners shall be placed upon the property and shall provide for the following. A, per the subdivision application, both lots shall be used for residential purposes only. B, notification of the potential health risk from radon concentrations and that such risk can be evaluated through soil tests and mitigated through radon abatement techniques incorporated into structures. C, a notification that all dwelling units within the subdivision should be constructed to specifications which meet or exceed equivalent provisions in the applicable state building code for this seismic zone. D, any additional replacement or relocated utility lines shall be installed underground in accordance with county subdivision regulations unless otherwise determined by the utility provided. E, any exterior lighting shall be directed downward to minimize visibility beyond the property lines. F, a waiver of the right to protest to join a special district for the purpose of providing community water and or wastewater treatment system improvements and or maintenance. G, a restrictive covenant binding the landowner, any heirs, successors, and assigns, and all future owners of property within the subdivision, agreeing therein to hold Broadwater County harmless and indemnify Broadwater County from all claims, demands, obligations, suits, causes of action, damages, and liability, including the county's costs and attorney's fees arising in any manner whatsoever out of or relating to the existence, use, operation, repair, and maintenance of the following. 1, earthquake fault zone and any seismic activity, and number 2, water availability. H, all cats and dogs must be restrained, penned, or otherwise under the control of their owner at all times. I, notification of the presence of agricultural operations in the vicinity. J, each lot shall be maintained in a clean, attractive, and weed-free manner. Noxious weeds must be pulled, sprayed, or cut prior to seed maturity. K, a waiver of right to protest joining a rural improvement or maintenance district for the purpose of road maintenance, mosquito control, or equitably funding parks and maintenance of parks. L, address number shall be clearly marked at the driveway entrance to each lot and be easily identified from the road. M, a notification that lots in the subdivision may be subject to impact fees if in place prior to lot sales. Number 9A, prior to filing the final plat, the applicant shall provide Proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies. And 9B, provide documentation showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same, showing the names of lien holders or claimants of record and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against the land. And that concludes the list of conditions.
I don't have any other questions.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any.
Would say that we have followed the criteria listed in 763608 MCA in our review for final plat approval, and I would make the motion to give final plat approval to Peaceful Hilltop.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve final plat approval for the Peaceful Hilltop request. Is there any further discussion? Yes. Come.
Good morning. Not to put a monkey in a wrench. The question I have is I keep hearing to keep dogs and cats under control. There is no enforcement component to that. So when you have that language in your plat approval, then everybody calls me and says, my neighbor's cat's in my yard. My neighbor's dog's in my yard. There is no county ordinance that says that a cat has to stay within the curtilage of the home. There's no that says a dog can't go run and play. The only ordinance we have is vicious animal. So I'm going to spend all my time out here dealing with people that my neighbor's cat's in my yard, my neighbor's dog's in the yard. We don't have a county animal shelter. We don't have a county animal control officer. So there's no enforcement. So I'm not sure why it keeps getting put into these covenances and these subdivisions, because there's no enforcement ability to it, and it creates a bigger headache for people like me. So I would love to hear the rationalization behind it. unless the county has desires to start, one, hire an animal control officer, two, build an animal shelter, three, put an enforcement into a resolution that can be dealt with. So I guess that's the questions I pose. Not to mucky the waters, Nicole.
No, it makes
And
sense.
also what I say is I got complaints this morning. I got emails this morning because people in subdivisions are going, my neighbor's dog is in my yard. And they expect me to come out and do something about it. There's nothing I can do for you. And then they said, well, the dog growled at me. Well, put the broom or the baseball bat down and he'll probably not chase you. Or don't shoot at it with a firearm and it probably would be fine. But that's the world we live in. And of course, the people that are moving in are coming from areas outside of Montana. So they even struggle with the ideas that Broadwater County is a fence your cattle out. They don't have to fence in. So these are the issues we deal with from the law enforcement side. So just one of those questions, I don't know the answer to it, and maybe one of the two people behind me with a law degree might have some comment. With that look on his face, I'm going to say no.
Way to ruin the meeting there, Sheriff. Although all those covenants become a property right. They become a part of the person's expectation of how they're going to enjoy their property if they buy it, and they move in. And they're all enforceable against each other. So if someone's lighting off fireworks, whatever the violation may be, problem is people don't want to enforce them. So the example, if my neighbor's dog is in the yard, fine, go talk to your neighbor, or so-and-so is speeding. Well, ask them to slow down. At some point when you get people that are really, really violating the covenants and they call us, and a lot of these covenants have a last catch-all that says the county is a party to this covenant for purposes of enforcement. Well, we're not filing lawsuits to enforce the dog or the noise or the how many junk vehicles you have in your backyard. That's just so far down the priority list behind felonies and major cases, we're just not going to do it. So I tell them, if you want that enforced, then homeowners association, hire a lawyer and enforce it. And what's happening with a lot of these subdivisions is that they're not operating a functional homeowners association. They decide to let that go by the wayside, then fine. But that's what needs to happen. If people are concerned, that's a property right that they have acquired, just like it's property right that somebody can't come and camp on their front lawn without their permission. If those are self-enforcing, that's my advice to all of them.
So I can just tell them self-enforcement.
Self-enforced.
Self-enforced.
Tell them to call the commissioners.
And they do. And they do.
Well, and if I can add to that, that commission required covenant was added, over 10 years ago, and which doesn't make it right. It's simply, it was put in there, and so we put it in with every development because we want to have continuity. But it was put in there because adjacent landowners with cattle operations were concerned that if these subdivisions were moving in, it would, with domestic animals, how would that impact their cattle operation or their agricultural operation? And so that was the response that the county put in to protect the adjacent agricultural operations. That was the intent. That doesn't mean that, you're not still going to get calls from neighbors within the development saying this, but I understand what you're saying. If we have a covenant or a condition or a regulation, we have to enforce it. How do we enforce it? We call you.
Yeah, and that it's gotten the subdivision we have. It is a fence the cattle out. You don't have to fence them in. However, now we have landowners that, somebody's dog comes running in their field chasing their cow, and they dump the dog, and then they call us and they say, "Well, they just shot my dog." Well, under Montana law, landowner has the ability to shoot a dog if it's chasing the hoofed animal, whether it be a cow, a horse, a llama, alpaca, a sheep, a deer, an elk, or a buffalo if we had them. They have the right to do so. And so it really causes a huge conflict. And the thing is people don't, I always try to get people to understand that when you call me because your neighbor's dog is in your yard, do you think it'd be better for you to walk over and talk to them or have a cop in a uniform come and bang on their door? And they're like, well, they might get mad if I walk over there. What do you think is going to happen when the cop shows up and says, hey, your neighbor called me because your dog's in his yard? And the first thing is, why don't you just come over and talk to me? We've lost that communication component. So it is very frustrating. We deal with it on a huge basis. And so I think that in the future, you know, it might be, as Broadwater County continues to grow, we need to find a mechanism of enforcement, however that looks. But the lots and the land are selling quicker than you guys can get subdivisions approved for, and people are buying it up. And I think that that should be something that, as in planning, we look at doing some of a county ordinance. But then it also then becomes, do you want to be the county animal control officer? And I can tell you that Lewis and Clark County runs 2 or 3 of them now, but they also have a facility to do it. And it's very tough to get our critters to the Humane Society in Helena or even into Bozeman anymore. So when it comes to those things, everybody wants dogs, cats, and hell, I think everybody wants a alpaca and a llama in their yard too,
And a mini pig.
Yeah, you know, and the little potbelly pig. So, you know, I think it's just something. I just, like I said, not trying to mucky the water, but it is getting to the point where there's a lot of folks from places that expect what they had when they got where they left, and they don't quite understand. So that was it. So thank you.
I will bring that up at the planning board level and see if we can have a deeper discussion on that, on what does enforcement look like? How can we still offer a level of protection, but not put a burden on you?
Well, I think it's important too that people that are buying that's buying this property need to have, like we've stated, some expectation of what they're responsible for when they buy this piece of property. And I know we've dealt with this issue a lot. And for folks to come out and just think that they're going to let their animals run wild, that's not going to happen. And I guess this kind of at least gives them an idea of what is expected of them, but maybe we need to refine that a little bit. So, yeah, we can work on that. Okay. So did we second that motion? I think we did, didn't we?
I believe we did, yes.
So we just need to vote?
Yes, we'll have to have a vote for the final plat approval for Peaceful Hilltop. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, Win Meehan, Broder County Sheriff Office Replacement Server.
Surprised you guys still put me on the agenda. Every time I come over here, it makes things more difficult. Good morning. And we've talked about, I sent this out a little bit ago. This is a replacement to replace a server. It was a quote from Garrett. Basically, I had a conversation with Commissioner Randolph, and all I'm asking for is just budget authority to buy it. It's not budgeted in my budget, but I will tell you that with vacancy savings, because I can't seem to get anybody hired in my agency, I'll have the money at the end of the year to do it. I mean, just do a budget amendment. But my concern is if I don't replace this, that I'm right back in the problematic world I am with the 28, 29, 30 years of data that I can't get to because the server died. And that's a very large concern for me. I think Garrett's given us a pretty good deal on it. So I'm just asking for some authority to do it and do a budget amendment towards the end of the season. So,
and I think that's good. The other part of that component is that we back up each other's servers. Mm-hmm. The courthouse backs up on yours backs up on ours at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's one way that we're protecting ourselves. So,
and I think we're still doing the off-site
we are
as well.
Yeah, the vault.
And so, we're looking at a couple things, and one of the things that we're going to have to, and I wish the undersheriff was here. He had a water heater issue that obviously took some precedence over servers, especially when it's at your own home. So he's off trying to get that rectified. But one of the things that talking with, especially with what's going on in America right now, is body cam and dash cam video. It takes a lot, and basically with the guidance that we've been received is 6 years you have to retain that stuff. That's a whole lot of data for a whole long time, and I don't know if that's being stored off-site, so I need to check with Josh, obviously, but we have a server in the building, and I don't know if it's big enough to go 6 years. And they basically say go 6 years. I think it's the statute of limitations basically expires on every avenue of what you can sue a law enforcement agency for. I think it ends at 6 years. So 6 years in a day, they're starting to dump that stuff off. It's just holding that much for so long. I mean, right now we're at what 10 car cams and 10 body cameras. That's a lot of, those videos take a lot of space. So we're going to have to look at something here in the future on that as well. We're just not sure what it's going to look like. But this one, I think, is just our main server that keeps everything else, and I think it's important we get it rectified before we have a bad day. So
Yeah, I did talk to Josh on it, and I think his plan is to leave your current server still online to make sure that everything transfers over and you have access, nothing gets left behind. So he's got a plan for you.
Yeah. It's one of those you never thought, never in a million years when I became a cop did I think I'd have to worry about whether or not I had server space. I guess things have changed since 1996. So.
All right. I guess, I don't know if we need to make a motion on it. I mean, it's within your budget authority to do it.
Okay. Well, but it was it's over the threshold. And so that was over your procurement policy. I think it's 5,000. And just need your guys' blessing. And that's why I'm here. So.
I guess I'd make the motion to allow the sheriff's office authority to replace the server.
I would second that motion.
Do you have that? For some reason I can't find my.
$9,816 or $9,816.
All right.
Was a quote from Garrett. So I would imagine it's plus or minus in lieu of issues, but if there's something happen.
All right. And I'll put that in my motion for that amount, $9,816. And like you said, it may go one way or the other. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the sheriff's request to spend $9,816 on a new server to replace his server he presently has in service that is limited out. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wynn.
Thank you.
Okay, the decision, Galzagori legal payment. This is the issue that was discussed last week and motions was made and seconded, but the motion was not voted on.
I guess since it was my mistake, I'll go ahead and make another motion to approve the Galzagori legal settlement in the amount of $2,222.64.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the Galzagori legal payment in the amount of $2,222.64. Is there any public comment? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, any other business to come before the commission? Not, we will adjourn it. Yes, Chuck?
I had a question at the last meeting after the Galzagori question, or Galzagori approval. How we proceed forward to get the land books changed back, since that shows even if they do away with the 20-acre parcels, it's still been split into smaller parcels than what your subdivision regulations would allow. Where does that, and I was told that probably would have to come from somebody to ask for that.
If I may speak on that, we're working with the attorney's office to get that taken care of, Chuck.
Okay. So it doesn't have to, anybody initiate that, it's already being done. All right, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Chuck. Anything else? Okay, we will adjourn at 11:25.
Thanks, Anea.